Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're going to be talking about some toys. For once, we will finally be talking about odd products. We've been saying this for years now, and we've only done it a handful of times, so it's that time once again. We're going to be talking about something that you will find everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
By accident or on purpose. You're going up the street, you're going to the store, you're going to the supermarket. If you're it's a toy, but if you're not going to a toy store, you're going to find it anyway. Your wife's boyfriend's house. They're there.
Cursed.
Or your wife's girlfriend's house. I don't know. It's 2023. Maybe it's you and your wife's boyfriend. I don't know. Perhaps you're in a throuple, and all of you have these things in your house. They're toys, but get your mind out of the gutter. We're talking about Funko Pops. We're going to be today. We're going to be covering Funko, and it's something that, like I said, you'll find wherever you go, whether you intend to run into these things or not. And there's something for everybody with these things. So we're going to be talking about the company, and we're going to be talking about the toys, and probably a little bit about just some of the management and financial things and all that stuff, but just a little bit. But in case you don't know what we are Why Does This Exist? We are a podcast that talks about the very weirdest in pop culture, whether it be a product like we're about to do, a video game or a movie, or really anything in the world that's kind of weird and had some kind of an impact on pop culture. We're going to be talking about it, and that's pretty much the gist of that. You could support the show in a number of ways. The first is by heading over to patreon.com/why does this exist. You can donate any amount of money that you want, and you'll get invited into the Discord server, where you can hang out with us. You can see what the schedule is. You can pitch some ideas for us, and maybe we'll even bring you on the show. Give whatever you want to give. The sky's the limit. If you give more money than you really should, like let's just say $10,000, then we'll be forced to review the Metallica Lou Reed collaboration album Lulu, because that album is cursed, and we figured that would be a high enough barrier that nobody would ever do that.
Yeah.
We don't want you to prove us wrong, but if you must, then it's going to cost you big time. You could and if you just want to give us money and you don't want any of that stuff, then you could just buy us a coffee. The site is buy us a coffee. I believe it's buy me a coffee. Buymeacoffee.com/why does this exist. You can donate any amount of money you like, and we will just say thank you, and we'll drink coffee together.
Yeah.
And that it'll be lovely. That's that. You can also go on over to our YouTube channel. You could find it and do all of those bell and whistle-y things. Let's try to get up to 50 subscribers so that then we can get to 100 and then 500, because that's the bare minimum that YouTube wants before we can actually start making money. And wouldn't that be nice? So let's just do that little by little. You can also just send us some questions or some feedback or whatever it is that you want, or some sponsorship things. You can send that over to whydoesthisexistshow@gmail.com and talk to us about whatever it is that you want to talk to us, or you can just find us on Facebook and Send us some odd images of well, just some weird things that you think are cool, and we'll probably give you a shout out on the show. Like we haven't gotten anything from our friend Muhammad in quite some time,
Oh man, I
uh,
hope he's all right. All that
but
shit
yeah,
going in the Middle East.
I hope Muhammad is doing okay, and I hope that he's finding more cursed images to send our way. All right, but that's the news. Here's the weather. You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge from a ragtag group of rogues. So let's get on with the goddamn show. Funko Pops. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about what these things are?
Well, I think Funko Pops are like the perfect embodiment of our show because they are literally just random things based on pop culture. It's like if our show was an action figure, it would be a Funko Pop. Um,
Maybe one
Basically,
day we'll be so popular and so well known that they make pops of us.
yeah, and then everything will come full circle. We'll be at the nexus of the universe.
Yes, technically we could make Funko Pops of ourselves right
That's
now because
true.
you can make a custom Funko Pop, but
Yeah,
that's the cheater's way out. I've
yeah,
always said you've never made it until you become until someone makes an action figure of you. But if you make an action figure of you or a friend does it and not a company that's actually interested and thinks that they'll make money off of people buying copies of you, then that you can't then that's not true. You can't hack it. Someone has to think that someone would buy that and make you into a figure.
yeah,
That's the only way. So maybe we'll be Funko Pops one day. That'd be
maybe.
fun.
Um, but anyway, there are these little vinyl bobblehead figures and that are based on just various pop culture references, and it goes. I mean, like, and it's literally everything. I think that's what always was cool about Funko Pops is that you could find a lot of really obscure pop culture stuff. They have everything from like more mainstream stuff like Star Wars and Marvel to more like not niche stuff like they have Alucard from Castlevania and I think I had mentioned on the Big Trouble in Little China episode that I have Lopan and Gracie Law pop figures. Um and that was what kind of drew me towards pop figures when I first started getting them, is that like you could find all these really crazy obscure like things that you would never think they would make a little action figure, or well, I guess it's not really an action figure, it's just kind of like a little bobblehead vinyl figure, but you would never think you would find it. Like, I mean, and they have like everything. They have Attack on Titan, they have Yu-Gi-Oh, they have various video games, they have the Doom guy, they have Dragon Ball Z characters. It's like literally every pop culture reference you can think of. They have The Office, they have Seinfeld characters, they
The
have
Simpsons.
Simpsons, like
They
like
have
every Marvel character you could think of, every Star Wars
any
character you
just
could think of.
most video game characters that I mean they sometimes they kind of overdo it a little bit. Like
Yeah.
they'll like sometimes they'll do characters from TV shows that were only in like one episode where it's like what was the point in that one? Like I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who bought them, but like I can't see enough people like there's some where you're just like it must have been expensive to make this mold and I'm not sure if enough people bought it where like would buy this where they would actually get a return on this, but okay, they made it. It's out there. I hope
Yeah.
someone's enjoying it.
And they
Or
actually
like
have like a lot of like
or like if a Fortnite skin like comes out, then they'll
yes.
do a Funko Pop of the Fortnite skin, and it's like, did we really need this?
They also do a lot of like of the same character. They do like a bunch of different versions of one character.
Yeah.
Um and sometimes even like release them at the same time. Like there's multiple versions of Silent Bob that just came out
Oh.
of
Well,
him doing different poses or stuff like that with different items.
yeah.
Um
Sometimes they jump the shark a little bit when like when they're trying to come up with new ideas. Like if it's
yeah.
just like the pose thing, I never really understood why anyone would want to just like buy them doing a different pose.
Mhm.
Or again to the same point, like why enough people would do it. Like I understand if it's the same figure and like the costume has a different paint design, then it's like okay, well this probably didn't cost them that much more to like do. They just have to reprogram like a machine, so
Mhm.
that can't be too bad. But where it's something where it's like requires a whole new mold to like put together, I like it seems a little silly. But then again, I don't really know how the toy business works, so maybe they use like a laser cutter and or like some kind of like state of the art 3D printer,
I'm sure they
and
have
they
some kind
really
of
don't
like
have to do that
automation.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
there's
probably.
got it's maybe it doesn't really cost them all that much to make, and that's why they do it then.
I'm sure it doesn't. It's vinyl. Vinyl is not expensive,
Yeah,
especially if
this
they're
is
doing some
true.
kind of like molding machines that just mold the basic pop figure and then they just paint on the hair or whatever. I'm sure that's like how it kind of works.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, if anything, they probably like if they're gonna take a hit on anything, it's probably just the storage space.
yeah.
Because they must have like I don't have no idea how many warehouses they must have full of these things.
Oh my god, they're in every store, so they got to have like
Yeah,
warehouses upon warehouses full of pop figures all over the place.
yeah,
Because like
like
you go, I mean, I haven't seen them in the grocery store yet, but like Walmart has them,
they're coming.
Target.
They're coming. I've seen them in some grocery stores.
And it's interesting because they actually have like like exclusivity deals with certain stores. So like you'll only be able to find certain pops in certain stores. Like GameStop has that a lot. Like you have to
Hmm.
go to GameStop to get like this exact pop figure. Or I think FYE had like an exclusivity deal for a while with certain like franchises.
Yeah, or certain paint jobs.
Yeah, I tell you, like
Like
that kind of.
I've had a couple of different Deadpools and Cthulhu's where like you could only get that specific paint job like from like
Yeah,
whatever place.
I think they when like FYE got them, it was like a lot of like musician ones like were only available at FYE because FYE was like known as a music store. Um, and actually, this is what like I remember a few years ago. I was walking around the mall because I was waiting for. I had some time to kill. I was running an errand for when I was at my internship, and I had some extra time to kill. So I went to the mall and I was just walking around, and I saw an FYE. And this at this point, FYEs had been closing all over the place. So this is like the first FYE. Uh, and I think we had spoken about FYE in the past on the podcast, but it was like this
We
awesome store where
have.
you could literally buy like they had so much obscure like rock and metal music that you would never find at any other store. So like CDs, like I got so many like King Diamond, DRI, so many great bands like that you could never find at any other store, where it was always at FYE, and it was like just a store in the mall. And then of course when, digital music streaming became more popular, they kind of died off because no one bought CDs anymore. And it was cool because they also had like DVDs, they had like stuff like pop figures, like little like tchotchke things that you could buy and t-shirts and all that. But anyway, this was a couple years ago, and FYE has been closing, and my local one had closed, so I didn't have one near me. And I was actually at a mall in Albany, and I walked in, and I'm like, oh my god, they have an FYE. So I walked in, and this actually, and I don't want to sound like I don't like pop figures,
Oh
but like
wait, I think I know which Albany Mall you're talking about there. It's
it's
huge.
the only mall in Albany, so
Oh, then yes. Yes, I've been there too. It's massive.
yeah. Uh, so I walked in and like I'm not going to disparage pop figures because I do have a small collection of pop figures and I like them. They are a cool little thing. But I was so disappointed because literally FYE became just like a pop figure store. Like literally every shelf just had pop figures. There was nothing else. But like they had t-shirts, okay? But like there was like just a mountain of pop figures when you walked in. All the like walls were lined with pop figures. And I'm like, what the hell happened to FYE? It's just like a pop figure store. So I was like very
I'm sure some of
disappointed.
the t-shirts were like Funko t-shirts too, so that makes it
Yeah.
even worse.
I was pretty disappointed. I ended up buying Lebby Killmeister pop figure anyway because I was
So,
there and they
well, it
had it, and I was
worked.
like, "Oh, that's awesome! It's Lemmy."
It worked.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly, it worked. The sons of bitches.
But
Uh,
the
it,
the I I have some Funko Pops that I
you
okay,
used to
so
have like an extensive
yes.
collection.
Yes, I had a giant well, I not as big as some people.
Well,
Some people can't be saved.
yeah,
Um but I had a huge Funko Pop collection, and one day, and like I had like I had shelves and shelves of them, and then I had a bookcase full that did not have shelves because I took the shelves out to make room for more Funko Pops. And then one day I made the mistake or great fortune, depending on who you are, of counting them. And then I realized, oh no, I have I have 88. I have 12 away from 100. This is not good. And then I started realizing how much money I've spent on these things, and I like I, I was like, okay, I got to get rid of these things. So like I just walked over to this like store that to this mom and pop comic book shop that I've been going to for many years, which it is the Stand on Neck Road. If anyone knows if anybody knows where that is, it is still there. And this is a guy who like seemed to know exactly what he was doing. This this like Southern gentleman guy from Georgia. He's quite a mensch, but he knows what he's doing, and he didn't have the Funko Pops, and this was maybe like 2016 or something like that. And I was like, "Hey, dude, do you like you have a bunch of other things? I'm trying to get rid of these. I have too many. I would be very happy. I just need to get rid of them. So I am very happy to just give them to you for a loss, and you can just sell them at whatever the normal price is, so that you can just be on your merry way." And he did the deal. He took it, and then like a few weeks later, I went back, and he was like, "Oh man, this was great. I sold like 50 of them." And I was like, "Okay, good." So like now he has a bunch too, but like they all sell, and he like does his homework. So I'm happy that I was able to make him make money. But I kept my favorites, and they're just in a box
Yeah.
in my parents' house. But
I never
yeah.
got like really drawn into like buying them because I only ever bought ones that I thought were like kind of obscure. Like I have like
Well,
I have
now I can't buy any of them. If I ever see them in the store and I'm like, "Oh man, they make this one now." I can't buy it. Like it's just I have this mental block
can't
where like
justify your spending the money on a piece of plastic.
no, it's not even that. I like that event has like burned like like such an issue in my mind where I'm like, "Oh no, if I like it's like a relapse thing where I'm like if I buy one of these,
Oh,
I'm
you'll
going
get
to
right back into it. Yeah.
what's to stop me from buying two? And then I'll buy three, and then I'll have another wall, and then the missus will leave.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
see,
can't
this
do
is like
that.
and I never got that. Like I've really had like that addictive personality where I'll just keep buying it. So like I bought like ones that I like thought were kind of obscure. Like I said, I saw the Lemmy one when I was at that mall and I bought that one. But like I have like, like I said, uh Big Trouble in Little China ones, which because they were, I was like, oh wow, like Big Trouble in Little China has pop figures. That's awesome. I have the Doom guy. I have Frieza from DBZ. I think I have Shredder from the Ninja Turtles,
Yeah,
which I
I
think,
bought
yeah,
that
you
one.
got
I
that.
bought you that from that place. But yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the other thing about the Stand on Neck Road is whenever I mention it to someone, I get the exact same reaction.
What's
That
that?
guy that guy's still here? No one expect That's the last store that anyone expects to be around, but he's outlasted all of them.
Well, honestly, it is surprising because those stores are like such niche stores that really they don't last unless there's some part of like some chain or something like that.
Yeah.
So that
No,
is good for that guy.
this guy knows what he's doing, and
Yeah.
he is also from what I believe that he like owns the building, so like he's like anything like he's paid off the mortgage a while ago or whatever, so like anything after is just like gravy. So like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like eBay pretty much saved him, and like the last time I hadn't gone for like years, and then I came back like 6 months ago after COVID. I went there and I was like, "Hey, like I mean, like after the whole COVID situation and everything," and I was surprised and happy that he was there. And I was like, when I stepped inside, the store looked bigger. He had brand new cases and everything,
Wow.
and I was like, "Whoa, man! Like what happened?" And he was like, "Well, I hate to say it this way, but the pandemic was good to me." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "Honestly, I there was stuff that I bought like 20 years ago that I could never get rid of that like shot up in value overnight during the pandemic because everybody started buying collectibles. So like I just made a crap ton of money. He's like I never made more money than like than those 2 years.
Hmm.
And he's like I'll never understand it, it but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think people got into like collecting stuff while they were locked inside.
Yeah. Well,
So
they did. I mean, we talked about this in
the
like one of
Magic the
the
Gathering,
episodes on in the Magic episode and in
I
the
think so.
video games episode.
Yeah.
Well, one of the video game console episodes, we like talked about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess the same must have happened for Funko, and also Funko made so many. They made so many more pops that like it's crazy.
Well, it's also it's kind of like a stupidly like genius business design
Oh
because
yeah,
like they literally all they have to do is like pay for the licensing and then they make these cheap figures, like Disney, whoever, like Marvel, whatever gets a cut and then they make like hand over fist because you're selling like you say the average pop is like $15, right?
10
It
to
probably costs
15.
it could probably cost like a couple of dollars to make and then maybe like a couple of more dollars per figure for the licensing. So they're probably making like a large profit from the figures themselves.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the person who like I mean, I'm sure the person who has like the most intensive job is just the one who goes out there and gets the licenses.
Yeah.
But
I think it kind
I
of
don't
like
know. After all this time, it might even just be a thing where where like you as a company are hoping that Funko approaches you
yeah. I
with
think
whatever IP you have.
I think well, I'm sure Funko also like they probably have like a guy that designs the pops and then they bring it like they pitch it to the company be like, "Hey, we can make a pop that looks like this based on this character if you want us to sell it and we'll, work out like a licensing deal and all that." I'm sure that's
Oh
like
yeah, I'm sure they have a bunch of graphic designers.
yeah.
It's like
Um
just working on specific licenses at all times.
yes. I kind of think that the initial like thought behind Funko Pops was going to be like something kind of like Beanie Babies where it was going to be like a big collectible thing that was going to like accrue in value over time, but like I don't know I know some like of the like the rarer pops are worth some kind of money. But I know like for the most part they really haven't gained that much value, so it's kind of like it's a
Most of
neat
them
little
lose
collectible
value.
thing.
Most of them
Yeah.
lose value, but
Yeah.
like you will see like certain exclusives. Like not every exclusive will actually like gain value. And I don't know if it's like a scarcity thing or if it's just like people just gravitate towards one variant and they really don't care about the other.
Yeah.
But it will be based on the variants. It'll also be based on whether or not, like, also sometimes it's scarcity. It depends on like where they showed up. Like if it's a San Diego Comic Con one,
Yeah.
then if it's a Comic Con one, then it'll usually be like very expensive because they'll only
Right.
make it for the Comic Con. If it's um or if it's one of the older models like that are vaulted,
Yeah.
where like they retired that specific design.
Right. Like
Um,
I think again another one that you had gotten for me. I think for like my birthday one year, I have like the Young Bucks, but it's like when they were in New Japan. So it's like that. It's probably worth something because they're not. It was from a while ago, and they're not in New Japan anymore.
yeah, could be. Um, or I mean, what you really some of the ones that are the more expensive ones is like if you have one of the original ones, like the one of the original Disney or Star Wars ones from like
Yeah.
2013, those are worth a lot because the the weird thing is they have this weird exclusivity deal with Star Wars where um I don't know if you've noticed this. I mean, I don't usually when I was buying pops or the pops that I do have, I have never taken them out of the boxes.
Yeah, I
So,
haven't. We have a couple that are like in the living room that like we've gotten like as a couple that we've like kind of like just taken out of the box, and some of them were like just Caitlin's. Some of them were like I got one for like Christmas one year from one of my cousins that was like Alucard from Castlevania, and that one we took out and just like to put on the shelf so it looks nice. Um,
yeah.
but like the ones that I had bought like personally bought for myself, those I kept in the box.
Hmm. Yeah, like but I kept all of them in the box, and if what you'll notice with a lot of them is that they are not bobbleheads. They just have the
Yes.
overblown bobblehead look, but
Yeah.
the head is like it's stuck on there. It's not moving.
Yeah. They do make
Um,
bobblehead
they do
Funkos,
make
though.
them, but they are exclusive to Star Wars.
Yeah.
So only the Star Wars ones can be bobbleheads.
Hmm.
And if you have anything before that license and clause was put into effect, where it's a non-Star Wars or a non-Disney, but it's a bobblehead, then you might have then you could be looking at something.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting, and it's tough to say what you've got. But you can look at the Pop Price Guide. I think it's poppriceguide.com, and you'll find whatever info you need. I think the let me take a look at what the most expensive one is. I know for a while it was the Clown Dumbo,
Hmm.
which was several $1,000s when I had last checked, but let me see now. 'Cause I would like to, I'm so curious to see just how expensive the most expensive one is. Uh, what is the most expensive? Estimated. Oh, come on. I don't know. You don't need to see my, you don't need to know my information. I just want to know.
I think I prefer the ones that aren't like movie based, like I mean not like movie like big, not like Big Trouble in Little China, but I mean like I mean exclusively more like Star Wars and Marvel, because like it's like the Marvel movies, and like it's like I guess they're
Okay.
fine, but I don't know. I'd rather it seems like too mainstream, and that was always my like mentality with Funko Pops. I'm gonna buy a Funko Pop and spend the money on it. I'm gonna buy something that's kind of obscure. I'm not gonna like buy just like a mainstream. Oh, it's like Captain America from Civil War kind of thing.
Yeah, these bastards want me to sign in. I'm not.
Oh,
I'm
sons of
not.
bitches!
I'm not signing in.
Don't be drawn in.
Well, anyway, the ones that I'm seeing that are coming up, these are at least on on the open market, according to the Pop Price Guide, that are the most expensive. You have Hopper Gold from Stranger Things, and that is $35,000 or best offer plus $50 shipping. So you need the shipping because when you're it's only 35 grand. He needs the $50.
Yeah,
Um, you also have Freddie Funko as Venom for 22,000, but this guy's got free shipping, folks. So he doesn't need the 22. Then you got Stan Lee. Looks like it might be signed actually. Metallic red chrome, 13,500 plus 39.99 shipping. Okay, this guy actually needs the money. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then
yeah.
it just kind of drops down from there. But yeah, it's
I,
pretty nuts on
I
like
mean,
just
like
how
pretty
much
much.
money these things could like can go for.
Well, it's really, it's the more exclusive ones that like we're not like in that they didn't make a huge printing of, I think, is the ones that are really gonna like always like gonna be worth more.
Yeah.
And that like
All
really
right.
goes with any kind of collectible, really. Like I think that was the problem with like everyone thought Beanie Babies was gonna be that, but then like they didn't have any exclusive Beanie Babies. It was like they made like a million of every single one, so they never like gained value because they were like not like there was like you could get them anywhere pretty much. And at pop figures to some extent is that like it's they have the exclusive ones that you only get at like special events like Comic-Con and stuff.
Yeah.
Those are the
Oh,
ones that
speaking of, this is according to Vaulted Vinyl from June. Apparently, the 2016 San Diego Comic Con Willy Wonka and Oompa Loompa Golden Ticket 2-pack is the most expensive Funko Pop.
okay.
It ranges from 15 grand to 100 grand. The highest sale price is 100,000. There are 10, 10 of these things. Only four of these. Yeah, you could win the this was something where if you went to the event, you could win one of the 10 golden tickets 2-packs. But only four of them were believed to ever have been creative. So There may not have ever even been 10. No one knows what happens to the other six. Four were given away, and the remaining six either were given to employees or friends. So nobody really knows what happened to the other golden tickets, but
Hmm.
they're golden tickets indeed. So that's how much it is. You're looking at you're looking at either that or a Black Lotus, depending on what you'd like to collect as your very expensive thing, or if you've really got some cash floating around. There's always Action Comics #1.
Yeah, how much is that worth?
Millions,
Yeah.
multi-millions.
What about Detective Comics #1?
Not as much, but it was sold for 3.2 million
Oh, well, there you go.
in 2014. But yeah, that's freaking crazy.
Well, I mean, that's, you know.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Looks like yeah, it also yeah, in 2022 it sold for 3.4 at a deal brokered by Golden Auctions at and Metropolis Comics of New York in September 2022.
Mhm.
But yeah, wow. 3.55. 3.55 is what it would have gone for. It's crazy.
It's crazy what we assign value to. It's like, oh, here's this like,
Yes.
like, oh, a comic book, or like, even worse is like, I think Magic cards. And I think we mentioned this on the Magic episodes, how like these
Yes.
little pieces of cardboard are worth like hundreds or thousands of dollars sometime, and they're literally just a piece of cardboard with a picture on it and text. Like,
Yes. It's pretty wacky.
yeah, and
But yeah.
just goes to show you that value is completely subjective.
Oh, yeah, it totally is. It's thin air.
Yes,
Like it really is. It's just somebody says,
I
"I
want
think
that,
this
and
is
I will pay this much money for it.
exactly," and then that becomes the price.
Yeah,
That's all that it ever is. It isn't, "I would sell it for this much." It's, "I want it for that much."
I'd buy that for $1.
Yes. Anyway, speaking of dollars, we haven't really talked about the company a whole lot, but Funko, well, pretty much was it. It's been around for a really long time. It's been around
Mhm.
longer than most people would think because I guess a lot of people just kind of one day you didn't see Funkos ever, and then I think 2000 and like 13 or 14, I guess like 2015 happened, and you never and you started seeing them everywhere, and now you
Mhm.
just can't get away from the damn things. So Funko was like founded in 1998 actually, and they have their own documentary called Making Fun. It was on Netflix for a while. Now I believe you can find it on Funko's Vimeo, and you could just watch it through there. It's pretty good. It's about an hour and a half. You only really need to see about like the first half of it, because then the other half is just like celebrities talking about how great it is. And then it ends with them going public, which they are a publicly traded company. We'll get to that in a little bit too. But Funko, they started off just as a bobblehead company by this guy Mike Becker and his wife Claudia, and it was just this like little project to just make these like little toys that he wanted because he was a bobblehead collector and a toy collector. So
Mhm.
he was and like he always loved the Big Boy mascot from like the Bob's Big Boy Diners,
Oh, yeah.
and he so he got the license for that. He made a few of those. He sold them, and then he started making these other ones, and then they were starting to lose some money. They weren't Funko Pops, they were just called the Wacky Wobblers. Well,
Yeah.
first they were just regular bobbleheads, and then they did the Wacky Wobbler, which was just like some pop culture icons and everything, but it wasn't really doing that well for a while.
Yeah.
And then they and like they had done like coin banks and other things, and they didn't really make that much money. So they like they were losing money, and they were about to file for bankruptcy. Like they did file for bankruptcy protection, or at least for like one part of the business, but Funko was there because the Austin Powers bobblehead sold like wildfire. They sold 80,000 units apparently, and Then they sold all these other characters from like pop culture, like cereal mascots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they ended up doing well with the Wacky Wobbler bobblehead. So they only had the bobbleheads for a while. Like they only had it was really just the bobbleheads, and then eventually they decided, okay, well we should probably try something a little differently. So it gets to and I think Mike Becker stepped down from being CEO in around like 2010 maybe, or 2000, yeah, I think like 2010 or 2005 or something like that. He stepped down, and then the other guy, um what the hell is his name? He just stepped down too, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Oh, the uh
Brian something Italian, Brian
yeah.
Mariotti. He
Yes.
he took over for a while, and then he decided, okay, man, I'm done. I'm gonna step down. I'm gonna step away from it, right off into the sunset. Whatever nonsensical line that really doesn't mean anything. That's what he put in the press release. But he's been around for like 20 years, just like overseeing it and everything. And then in like around 2010, they started doing the Funko Pops. Um, but they, but yeah, in 2005, Mike sold it to its his chief creative officer Connor Orcutt, who was like in the documentary as well, because he did it because a bigger company approached him with a really big offer, and he probably had a couple of offers to buy the company, and it did like way better than he ever expected it to. So like he had these offers, and then he had like and then he like had the other officer from the CCO, and he was like, you know, I'm going to give it to you because if I give it to any of these other companies, I don't know what's going to happen to you guys. Like, I don't know if you guys are, I don't know if the people who like are the lifeblood of this company are actually going to have jobs anymore, or if they're just going to like, they'll buy the company and then they'll bring in their own people, or they'll just decide that there's too much redundancy and they'll just get them like they won't keep you guys on, and
Hmm.
then like the company will just lose whatever like it is that makes it what it is. So like, because I'd rather not just put this in the hands of someone who like doesn't know what they're doing, or if it doesn't make money they could just like shut it down or sell it to the next person. At least if you guys have it, then I know the company can still like continue and it still has people who know what's going on in there. So I'm going to give it to you, which I think was the smart thing and a really nice thing to do, because he easily could have just taken the money and just said, "All right, I'm gonna go play golf forever. Good, have a nice life,"
Yeah.
and just done whatever he's gonna do. But he stayed on as a board member. The guy Brian Mariotti was like a friend of his from golf, and they ended up like, and they ended up coming out with the pops in like 2011, really like 2010, 2011. They came out with it, and then like in 2012 that ended up like the pops ended up taking off, which they were originally smaller and they came in this clamshell. So the clamshell pops are like, that's really what you want,
Yeah.
if as a collector too. But they had when they came out with it, it was called I think it was called the Funko Heroes or something like that. They had a couple of like other little lines that like they don't really have anymore, like the Funko Vision, or where it like comes in a box that looks like a TV,
Mm.
or like the what do you call it? The mini Hikaris, or the spastic plastics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They like tried other things and they didn't really work, but then the pop ended up like really taking off, and it was called the Funko Force 2.0 in 2010, and then it took off, was a huge hit. I think the Funko Forces debuted at San Diego Comic Con, which where else are you gonna try it really?
Yeah.
So they did that, and it took off, and the rest is history. And They've been doing pretty well for a while, but now, like everything else, things are starting to slow down.
Yeah, I mean it's a bad economy, so people aren't buying those like
Yeah, like when it comes to
those big chunky
collectibles, like when it comes to collectibles in a bad economy, like that's the first thing to get cut
yeah.
if you're looking to hunker down, like your video games, your any toys, any card games, comic books, whatever it is. That's the first thing that you're just going to say, okay, well, if I got to tighten the budget, those things I can't do anymore, or I have to
Yeah.
hold off on that, or I can't get them as often as I used to. So, like maybe now every 6 months I'll get one, but I can't get one every week or whatever it is, or maybe one a month or whatever it is. Um, where, and also a lot of the places where you would see Funko Pops mostly are the ones that would sell the most of them, like their comic book stores and toy stores and hobby shops and things like that, which they're not doing very well either, for various reasons. But they just have inventory that they can't sell for one reason or another. So like more and more of those are closing too, which means
Yeah.
more and more Funko Pops are not getting bought, and I don't know how distributors are doing. I mean, I imagine distributors are not doing very well either.
Well, and I
Because
think
so I don't know, but like Funko's been like in rough shape, and in like 2022 they also bought this company called Mondo, where which like makes a bunch of like posters and like movie posters, and I think they make like lunch boxes or something. They no, or there's like some yeah. It's like they call it a high end pop culture company, which they do like other things that that like are in the vein of pop culture, but it's like just basically they have Mondo because Mondo will make things that like there's things that lets that they there's things that Funko would like them to make, like tiki mugs or like other collectibles and things like that,
yeah.
and like vinyl and other things, or like lunch boxes or various other things, or like T-shirts or whatever, where it's things that they would instead of paying a company to do this for them, they just own the company. So I can kind of and like Funko also makes board games too that are like they're board games where like the board game figurines are Funko Pops of whatever the license is.
Hmm.
So you they make they I think they own too many things that are like not that don't completely align with like the what the main company does, and I think that all of these purchases like I don't know if all of them are panning out or not on top of that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if the company has a lot of debt or anything
They
like
might have
that.
overextended themselves with all the purchases too,
Yeah, which this is what a lot of companies do.
not anticipating the crash that's happening, kind of thing.
just look at Disney.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I mean, that really says it all. So like yeah, it's like they don't need to like you'll see like you see the Funko Pops, and then you'll see other Funko items that aren't regular toys on the shelf, and you'll just kind of
Yeah.
say, well, why did Funko make a version of this, or why is there a pop version of that? Is this necessary? Like, why is there a
Yeah.
Funko Pop? Like if you see a Funko Pop lunchbox, you're like, why
Yeah,
is
why?
this? Yeah,
Why
you'll
does
just
this exist?
why does this exist? You'll say the name of the show,
We
and
said it.
then
We
you'll
said the
think
name.
you need it. This is how we came up with the name of that show.
Yeah.
We were walking in a Walmart with our good friend Chuck, and we found weird toys that made no sense. So we just kept saying, "Why does this exist?"
Exactly.
And then every time we hung out with Chuck, we would go to Walmart. Sometimes it was just because he worked there, so he made it look like he was helping customers, and we would play the game, and it's a fun game that I still play to this day.
Yeah.
But but you'll see all of these Funko Pop things, and you'll just say, "Why does this exist?"
Yep.
And none of it makes any sense as to why. Like it has the Funko Pop aesthetic. Like maybe Funko could have made other things, but they didn't have to look like the Funko Pops with whatever it is. I don't know, but they seem to have overextended themselves, and
Yeah.
that and I don't know how much debt they actually have. I'm not an investor in Funko, um, but
Well, and it's interesting because you know Funko doing poorly and not having good sales might like actually spell like the doom of stores like FYE and GameStop who've kind of
yes,
turned exclusively like GameStop still has other stuff, but it's become almost like a Funko store because
yeah,
like
like
people
they've
don't
gone all.
buy like hard copy video games anymore. Everything is available digitally. So like GameStop has had to kind of shift focus a little bit into like merchandise and swag to like make up for that. And like if people aren't buying Funko anymore or collectible stuff, they're not gonna like it might really spell the doom of companies like that
Oh
have
yeah,
nowhere else to turn.
yeah, because a lot of them are just all in on it, like you
Yes.
said. So
Yeah.
you know the secret to weathering a storm, as the great Warren Buffett says, is diversification. So you want
Yes.
to make sure that you've got a little bit in. You want to make sure that you got a little bit in a lot of places, so that if one area starts to do badly, the other ones can help pick up the slack, at least in theory.
Yeah. Apparently in March, and I don't know, if this has happened already, but Funko had actually announced that they were throwing out a bunch of old inventory because it was
Oh
just
no,
sitting
I
in the
didn't know that.
it was sitting in the warehouse and they needed space for newer stuff.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that earlier, like in the conversation, that like whether that, like just when we were talking about how much it must cost them just to store these things and how many
Yeah.
warehouses they must have, and if they're and my guess for anything that isn't like an exclusive pop, it's probably overprinted to death because you see them in
Yes.
so many places.
Yeah.
So there must be
Especially
warehouses of just Star Wars pops.
exactly. I was gonna say, especially the super mainstream stuff like the Star Wars and the Marvel, and I guarantee they like Disney probably ordered a ton of them because Disney sells those pops in their own stores too. The Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars pops.
Well, Bob
Uh,
Iger also has I have seen that Bob Iger has a personal investment in Funko, and he like put millions into it, so like he owns like some fraction of the company.
yeah,
Um, I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've heard.
yeah. You gotta wonder if I mean Disney is probably really not in the position to be acquiring companies right now because they are on dire straits as well. But you
Right.
gotta wonder if
But
they're
this is
they're
also
looking.
Bob Iger's fault.
Yeah, well, you gotta
So
be wonder if they're
maybe,
looking to buy, to have a majority share in Funko.
well, that's actually one thing that someone had pointed out. I think it was Clownfish TV, which I don't know how, like, they're like an outrage channel. So like,
Yeah,
so like everything that they do is like they're pissed
rage
off.
bait.
They either pretend that be mad about it, or they're just like getting worked up about it while they're like discussing it.
Yeah,
But but like one point that they made during one of the recent things about Funko, because like it was on Funko's earnings, um, and like they made it. I mean, of course, they make it seem like 1,000 times worse than it actually is.
yeah.
The situation, it's not great. Funko's not in like they're not in amazing shape,
No, no, they're
but
losing
like
money.
they're
They're
losing
not
money.
they're not profitable right now.
No, they're not. Like year over year from the recent one. Sorry to bore you folks with finance. Um, I know you wanted something interesting, but well, here it is.
You came to the wrong place.
I'm Depati Poopa. All right, but yeah, basically year over year, like like they've lost 14% year over year, like 14.5% year over year in total net sales. So like that's not good. Like and like basically on the conference calls, they've like somewhat said, well, like we made like they made more money from the previous quarter, I believe, but like not nearly.
Yeah.
but like they still didn't make as much year over year. So it's like they're like, oh well, we made more money, but we still lost money too. Where it's like, so how do you try? Like, how are you spinning this into a positive?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, so it like it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Um, so like they try their best, but also the guy Brian, like we said earlier, he stepped down the previous year. Um, Brian Mariotti or Mariotti
Brian Mariachi.
kind of sounds like Moriarty, which is Sherlock Holmes's arch nemesis. Oh no.
El
Um,
Mariachi.
El Mariachi. So El Mariachi stepped down, and it's more fun this way. He stepped down, he stepped down in July, like right around their like right after their, I think like a little after or a little before their Q2 earnings call, where he stepped down and he made some sentence. He like his press statements mean nothing. It's just a bunch of fluff. Like, oh, I'm leaving. I've loved this place for almost 20 years, but I'm gonna go away and I'm gonna be active on our board, which like on the Funko management page, he's not on the board either. So I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe he just left, but the interim CEO was this guy, Michael Lunsford. So he's like just trying. He's just pretty much. He's not the full CEO. He's just the interim CEO, and he's like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, he's supposed to be just doing like the basic day to day things while also trying to find like a real CEO. But a lot of these times they just do that for like 6 months before they realize, okay, well, nobody wants this job, so like you have to be the CEO by default because the board wants it. And if you go too long without an official CEO, then it looks really bad. So this guy might in this economy, this guy might be stuck there.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how that shakes out for anybody who cares about the finances. But I don't know, and I think they recently got some new guy on the board. There's also this guy Andrew Perlmutter, who's the president, but on the Wikipedia page, we've read some of the Wikipedia page, but not all of it. He is apparently according to the Wikipedia page, it lists him as the CEO. He's not the CEO,
No,
unless
according to Funko's actual website, he's actually the president of the company.
yeah,
But he
which are
was
two different
previously the
things.
CEO.
Yes, for about 6 months or something like that. So I don't
So
know.
if
I don't
anybody out
know if
there has a Wikipedia account, go in there and fix that. It's,
yeah, I don't.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah, maybe I don't know if Brian was like CEO. I don't know if like El Mariachi was like CEO for a little bit, for like a while, and then he like took a break for a minute, and this guy was like he just served for a little bit, and then he decided to come back, and now he decided once again, oh, it's still not in good shape. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna go start a real mariachi band.
All
and
right.
then Mike Lunsford is just doing this, who kind of looks like Christopher Daniels, and that's about it.
All right.
He's just there. He's the interim CEO, and they'll get a new guy or they won't,
Or
and
sell
that's
out.
that. But yeah, one of the things that I was gonna say was that like they were speculating that Disney could possibly like just lever up again because who doesn't like what's more American than just not paying your credit card and just getting more debt to pay for the other credit card.
Yeah, well,
Um, so 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 one thought is that Disney could potentially just say, well, we don't own a toy company, so let's just buy Funko and now we'll own a toy company. So that
I
would
wonder if
clear fun.
they'll have only exclusive Funkos then. Like they won't like license anymore. They'll only have Marvel, Star Wars, and Disney characters.
I mean, that would be the way to do it if Disney wanted to like just make
They,
all the money, but also
they would
Disney
probably
would
do it.
probably that seems like a very Disney thing to do because we've discussed this before, but Disney is a giant law firm that happens to make movies and own theme parks.
Yes.
So, we'll see. Maybe they'll decide to do that because as Bob Iger's track record is, he really doesn't know how he's really not a good investor.
Well,
So, we'll see. Unfortunately, there's no Bob Chapek to blame it on, but maybe he'll find somebody. I'm sure there's always a Bob to blame things on. That's what they're
Yeah.
good for. Thank God you're a Rob and not a Bob. Otherwise, someone will be blaming you for something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'd probably be an asshole.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've met Robs, Roberts, Bobbies, and Bobs over the years, and I must say, all Robs are generally pretty cool. All Bobs are assholes. That's just
Especially
the way it is.
especially the ones that run Disney.
That's just no. Whether you run Disney or not, if you're Bob, you're an
Well,
asshole.
they're just extra if they're, if they run Disney, because
Actually, I
Disney's
take
already
that.
pretty much an evil corporation as is, so you have to be
Yes,
like an
actually,
ultimate
I take
asshole.
that back. I take that back. I have met one Bob that's very nice. He's some guy that I work with.
Oh,
He's very nice. He plays D&D. He's very big into theater. He's That Bob is okay. But he's but a beacon of hope in this world of hopeless Bobs. But otherwise, Bobs are assholes. This one shining Bob is the only Bob. And I guess Smiling Bob too.
what about Silent
Smiling
Bob?
yeah, well, I don't know. They were drug dealers, so they're kind of assholes.
Yeah,
And and all they did was loiter. So
that's
Silent
true.
Bob he's kind of an asshole. He's a likable asshole, but he's an
Yeah,
asshole. He might be a dick and not an asshole. You can respect a dick. You don't Nobody likes an asshole. That's the difference. Um there's also Smiling Bob from the Enzyte commercials back in the day, but well, Enzyte was a male enhancement drug. Think about it.
oh, God.
Basically, the blue chew of its day. So Smiling Bob would be a dick by proxy.
He had a dick that was enhanced.
Apparently, there was a good. That's why he was smiling. Anyway, this has gone off the rails and into the and crash landed into the mountain. So back to Funko Pops. Yes. Let's stop talking about. Let's stop making penile jokes and go back to talking about toys intended for children that adults seem to have fallen in love with for odd reasons.
Yeah. I apparently allegedly there is a movie in development, a Funko Pop movie, that's allegedly
Like a
been
real
developed.
one?
Yeah, since 2019.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I don't know if I mean it might be interesting. It might be something like the Lego movie where they can have all these different like IPs kind of crossing over, because that's basically like the whole like point of Funko. So that would be kind of an interesting thing, but I don't know. A lot of these like
Oh
toy based
no,
movies really,
you could also buy Funko NFTs.
well, that's just cursed.
Yeah, NFTs are cursed.
I find it
It's
hilarious that like the whole like Bored Ape Yacht Club, like everyone realized how much of a scam it was and now they're worthless. People invested thousands of dollars for like shit that's now worth pennies.
good.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
could have
well,
told
you're
you
an
that.
idiot. Like, of course that it was a fucking money scheme, basically.
Yeah, that's all an NFT ever was, and no one even knew what it was. Because like when you tried to explain it to someone, they were like, "It's a picture, and
I think,
it's your picture, but it's a fraction of a picture, but you own that fraction of the picture, and then
well,
you can
apparently
sell
they
that
weren't even
fraction of
on
a
the
picture to
blockchain.
someone."
So
No,
like it was like no point, because the whole point of of crypto is it's on the blockchain, so it's like not able to be duplicated, but you're paying money for a JPEG that anybody could just copy and paste. It's like the
right.
stupidest thing ever.
Well, whoever thought of that made off with a bunch of money and probably has their own tiny island in the corners of the earth. Or at
Yeah.
least that's what I would do. And you'd never see me again. I would probably change my name to Bob because, well, why not? Based on that conversation, that's the only level of human being I would have to be in order to pull something like that off. But
Yeah,
I digress.
NFTs were like the stupidest. I'm glad they've kind of died off, because it was the stupidest thing ever. It
I'm
was like
glad
a
I never bought
collectible
one.
that wasn't real. You're paying for a fake image.
Yep.
It's not
and
even like
all
buying like a piece of art where like, okay, you can hang it on the wall in your house. It's like literally a image that's saved on your computer, like, and that you paid money for. Like, how stupid can you be?
oh, pretty stupid. I hope every celebrity that endorsed NFTs fired their financial advisors.
I hope every celebrity that endorsed NFTs and tried to get their fans to buy it go down in a Ponzi scheme.
Well, that too, which this was a big
Well,
Ponzi scheme.
exactly.
Just ask Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, who just got convicted, by the way.
Sometimes there is justice.
Yeah. Did you
Anyway,
Speaking of Sam Bankman-Fried, did you see like the court, like, you know how like they have those like courtroom artists that like draw the people? So one of the
mhm.
courtroom artists drew him and he looks like a fucking like anime character, like superhero. Like
Oh
he looks
no.
like the friggin' like the chiseled jaw, like and
You
all
know
that,
what?
like, and like
One of the fifth, I think like one of the top 10 things that show that like when you type in SBF is courtroom drawing.
yeah, probably.
Oh my god! I
Yeah,
found it.
yeah.
Oh my
He like looks
god.
like a superhero. It's hilarious. And then apparently like like someone drew like the picture of his like girlfriend or whatever and made her look like Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like whoever this courtroom guy is, he's like,
Oh my god, no, I'm seeing it. That's great. These people are great.
yeah, it's hilarious.
There's one courtroom sketch where he looks more like Zac Efron, and that is not true.
Yeah,
Why does he look like that? That's not even close. The ones of his girlfriend are hysterical.
yeah,
This looks so bad. Oh my god, Picasso has risen from the grave and given us these beautiful images. I love it.
yeah.
Oh my
It's
god. I
hilarious.
think I'm gonna make this my screensaver. This is amazing. No, this is gonna be my wallpaper. Is just a really zoomed in version of this anime SBF.
Yeah,
This is the face of justice, people. I needed that. All right, back to the Funkos. So you were talking about there's a Funko movie that is being developed allegedly.
it's like probably in because it started in 2019. It was announced, and now we're 4 years doing some of it. So apparently February 21, Teddy New
Oh,
was
you're sounding weird.
oh
Your like connection is odd. You sound like but Picasso. You sound like
oh,
a Picasso.
how
You're
about
all cubey.
oh
No, now you're more cubist.
oh god,
I think SBF has we've incurred his wrath.
yeah.
Or this courtroom sketch artist is a criminal mastermind, and he's hacked into our lives. And we will become courtroom sketches.
How about now?
Oh yeah, now you're fine.
All right,
Oh man, wouldn't that be an interesting short story where the courtroom sketch artist, where the people that he sketches become imprisoned in his drawings?
maybe
Oh,
if
I
Funko's,
like it.
maybe if Funko's gonna make a, a a pop figure based off of the chiseled draw SBF
Oh god. Well,
courtroom
they
SBF.
have they haven't licensed that, so let's see. We have yet to see Funko courtroom drawings.
Yeah, that would be something interesting.
I would buy one for the sake of buying one. See, this is a business opportunity. We're great idea people.
Yeah.
We should be the madmen of Madison Avenue.
So anybody from
This should
Funko,
happen.
if you're listening right now, you got to hire us because we have good ideas.
Yes, we have great ideas, guaranteed to make money, or else.
Or else.
Or else is whatever it is that you think it is.
Yep.
Anyway, back to this movie. So
So Teddy Newton allegedly is writing it.
I don't know who that is.
He was a storyboard artist for Two Stupid Dogs, The Iron Giant, Dexter's
Oh,
Lab. He also worked on The Incredibles and Ratatouille. So he's actually been quite extensive in animation. He's worked on a number of stuff. So it doesn't say he's writing the screenplay, but it doesn't say anything about how long it is, if they've started to like actually film it or animate it or anything. So, or who's attached to it, what it's going to be about. There's basically no information. So
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah. Here's something from here's a Variety article from July 2022, which at the time Andrew Perlmutter was the CEO.
Oh,
This was in that odd transitional period. Think of it like that one time in the Batman comics where they got the female Robin for like 6 months and the fans hated this, and then they just inexplicably replaced her with a different Robin. This is his tenure as CEO. That, but real life. That's what it is. Anyway, so yeah, Funko is still, yeah. This is from July 20th, 2022, by Jennifer Maas. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Funko Pop movie eyes streaming series possibilities. Funko is still looking to take its beloved pop figures to the screen, but potentially a smaller one than fans first imagined. The city of Townsville. While Warner Brothers Animation has been reportedly developing a Funko Pop feature film since September 2019, the company's new CEO now says the project could potentially turn into a streaming series. When you look at some of the Disney Plus content, like The Mandalorian and those great tentpole streaming shows, I think we'd be happy with either a movie or a streaming show. CEO Andrew Perlmutter told Variety during an interview, very British sounding name, like very waspy, during an interview at the mega-sized Funko booth on the San Diego Comic-Con exhibition floor during Wednesday's preview night activities. I don't think we have a strong preference anymore. I think if you asked us 5 years ago, it would have been a movie, but I'm not so sure that's the case anymore. Basically, we lost control of this thing and we have no idea what the hell is going to happen with it. It's in limbo.
yeah.
When asked specifically about the Warner Brothers animation film project, Perlmutter noted Funko is in conversations with a lot of different people all the time. Yeah, aka, I have no fucking idea. That's CEO speak for I have no fucking idea. This is an overwhelming desire from people to participate in the Funko IP, either in TV streaming or movies, he said. And we're evaluating what the right partnership is. What's really important to us is the brand is treated in the way that we need it to be treated to ensure it hits all the right notes and delivers on the experience that we're looking to have. And that goes across a lot of different media sources. We're in conversation with a lot of different people all the time. So it really comes down to finding the right opportunity, whenever that may happen. Here's what that really means. Please, please work on this project. Please do this movie. Please make it. We'll even make it a TV show. I don't care. We need to do something.
Yep.
But the Funko chief emphasized the company, which also owns Loungefly and recently acquired Mondo. What the hell is Loungefly? Oh, I think Loungefly is the thing that makes the lunch boxes, and Mondo is the thing that makes movie posters and all that other crap. Definitely is not ready to announce anything yet. I wouldn't be able to give you a timeline, not to be stealthy, just because we don't have one. So that's him basically saying, yeah, I have no fucking idea what's going on. Please don't ask me about this anymore. So, yeah, good. Well, at least we have proof that it's that it was an idea on the table, and I guess it fell apart, and they're like trying to salvage it, and now nobody knows. Additionally, a game entitled Funko Fusion was announced to be in development in 2023 based on NBC Universal IPs. Like a video game? Why would they do that? Again, like we said earlier, they may have overextended themselves into things that they really didn't need to do.
Yeah. I mean,
this could be one of those things.
The problem with doing something like a video game or a movie is all the different licensing. That's the issue, and it's hard to do when you have so many different licenses. If you're a big company and you can afford it, then sure. But like, it definitely adds to the cost of doing stuff like that, and it might be like beyond. And it seems like they like Funko in general has been making a lot of poor like financial decisions in the last few years, which is hurting them severely.
Yeah, that probably makes that's probably exactly what happened because I mean they own all these different other companies like they yeah, okay, Loungefly makes fashion accessories. So it's like, "Oh, well, why should we just buy a t why should we keep paying this company to make t-shirts when we could just buy a t-shirt manufacturer?" So they
Yeah,
bought that. Or and then like Mondo, why should we just keep making posters? Why should we pay this company to make us posters when we could just buy a poster making company? And they bought
yeah,
that, and then here they are in March where they're like, yeah, actually, we're just gonna destroy like an entire warehouse of things because we don't know what to do with it. So there's a bunch of stuff in landfill right now,
yeah.
and you know
I wonder
which
if it's buried next to the copies of ET on the NES.
could be the same landfill that got all of those Modern Horizons 2 dumps like a year and a half ago. Like just just bad decisions.
Yeah,
Just leading into like just all of this debt. I can't imagine how much debt they actually have. I'm not sure. Um, but probably not good. So, yeah, I don't think this company is really going to be it'll probably get bought out by somebody.
yeah.
That like that's my thought of the end result. They'll either get bought out by somebody, or they will, or they'll fight, or like yeah. I mean that's kind of their best option. It's either that or go private, which they have to raise money to like. Which when you're trying to take a company private, you need to get investors to buy back all of your shares. So you
Hmm.
need to buy back your market cap, and then whatever that is. Which honestly, they're going to have to get bought by some company. I don't know if it's going to have to be a private equity company that like its thing is just to like buy these brands and make them profitable again and then flip them to like somebody else who's like more specialized in that,
Hmm.
or if they just outright sell it to somebody else like Disney or something who just either decides, "Oh, we should have a toy company too," or someone who or like a parent company who owns a bunch of toy companies that would be able to actually manage the brands properly, which I don't know if there's a conglomerate like that, but I you know
Probably not.
that I'm out of my element here. So that's
Yeah,
one of the things that could happen, but it seems like this company really just doesn't. They've lost their way by overextending themselves into different areas that don't really align with the company at all.
yeah.
Oh yeah, and they also own a games company, like a board game company, and that's how they are able to. That's why they started making the board games
Hmm.
because they own a where is it? Funko Games, 2019 acquired award-winning board game development studio Forest Pruzon Creative, including the design studio Imprint Prospero Hall, forming Funko Games. Okay, yeah. Um, so that's what it is. It's so yeah, they own too many things, and they either need to start selling those things off, or the company itself needs to get sold to somebody or get taken back private. But
Hmm.
honestly, because like the problem is a lot of the times, and we've said this before, is just simply the act of going public is the worst thing that a company can do because sometimes they'll find out about the books where like a WeWork situation where it's all BS and it's all and like it's the company's a total fraud, or you end up getting into a situation where the company is doing okay for a while, but then the shareholders want to see continuous growth and you reach a point where you've made all the money that you can make and now it's going to be bumpy for a while. And I think that's what happened with Funko. I think after like, 10, 15 years, they've just kind of run out of ideas and they just started buying other companies to do different things
Hmm.
because just to like kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks, but with lots of money. and it's just not really panning out.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's kind of happened, and I'm it's it's just one of those things because now they have to please the shareholders, and the shareholders are just like, we we don't care what your excuses are. Where's the money? Like it's like, where's the money, Lebowski? And they're like, there is no money.
Where's the money,
And
Lebowski?
yeah, and they're like, threw the ringer out for the ringer, and now there's this whole situation, and the investors, the real Big Lebowski, who like kidnapped, whose wife kidnapped herself, is just this is just not good, man. Because like Bunny is running around town, just like she probably owes money out all over town, and she probably kidnapped herself. So like, what's going on with the nihilists? And now the nihilists, aka the shareholders, are like, it's not fair. We thought we were getting $1 million, and there is no $1 million. And I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not really sure who's the one that throws the bowling ball, and I don't know who has the heart attack. But they think that there's shots fired, but there's no shots. I don't know what happens to Donnie. I guess maybe El Mariachi saw this and got the hell out of Dodge and was like, "This is too much. I'm gone. I'm going." So maybe El Mariachi is Bunny, who owns money all over town, and he just went to Vegas, and maybe he'll be back just naked in the pool in 6 months. I
Oh
don't
God.
know. Uh, I have no idea. For some of the people who are still listening to this, let me know what you thought of my performance of trying to tie in Funko's financial situations with the Big Lebowski. How'd I do? How'd I make that comparison? There's also Big Lebowski Funko Pops available for purchase at any pop culture emporium,
We're
but
not
not
sponsored.
but not Preston's Emporium in in Bleecker Street. That closed down. We talked about that on the Big Lebowski podcast a few months ago. But yes, we do not. Oh, we are not sponsored by anything. So if you'd like to sponsor us, that would be a good idea. Why does this exist show at gmail.com? We'll talk, and maybe things will happen for one of us. But yeah, we got to see. We'll see what happens to Funko in the coming months or years. We will not be updating you on this show. We don't do that thing. We're not like a finance show. Although
Yeah.
sometimes we talk about finances and then we try to do something with it. And obviously, we're not experts. So just don't invest in Funko, or maybe you do. I don't know. Do it at your own discretion. We're not responsible for any of this.
Nope.
But if you want to go to
Don't
the
take
store
our
and buy,
financial advice.
this isn't advice. We have no financial advice to
Yeah.
give.
Don't sue us if you lose money.
There's not no. We will get Larry and Steve on your ass so fast. Don't make us test them. They're very nice guys.
Yeah.
Stand-up lawyers, in fact. Some would say pillars of the community. But you don't want to get them mad. I've never
Yeah.
seen them mad, and I don't want to, and I'm sure it's not pretty. They have families. Just think of their families. They don't need this stress.
Yep.
That's my thoughts on Larry and Steve. They're great guys. Anyway, Funko. What more do we have to say about this?
That's about it, I think. I mean, there's really not much you could say. They're cool little things, and you know, they got some cool ones, you know, that you could, you know, if you're into like pop culture and stuff, you know, check them out and, you know, and buy them or don't.
Do you have a favorite pop?
Uh, that's a good question. Let me see. Uh, I would say I think my Lemmy Pop is my favorite.
Nice.
Yeah, because that one.
Why do you love it?
Well, I got it shortly before Lemmy died, actually, like months before he died.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I think you know, that kind of, you know, it was kind of like a tribute, you know, to him a little bit, you know, buying it. So or it became a tribute, I guess. I don't know. It was just a cool thing that when I saw it, I'm like, oh, I gotta have this. I mean, I that one's pretty good. I like, the Big Trouble Little China ones are up there too, just because they're, obscure and yeah. How about you?
Ah, I think my favorite is the 1966 Batmobile one. It
Nice.
was one of the first pop vehicles ones, and I had wanted one for a long time. And there's like this toy shop around the place that I worked at the time, and it was like one of the like I hated working at this place, so I would like walk over to the toy store like every couple of days just while I was on my lunch break just to like get away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would go, so I'd go down there, and then one day they had it, and then I think I want to say after like, after a couple of weeks, I just picked it up because I was like, oh man, that's so cool, and it was like $40, and everywhere else it was like 60. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go for this one. So I have that. That's the only pop vehicle that I have. I also really like the BioShock ones, but not of the main ones. Of the like, I have the bookend ones of the Big Daddy and the Songbird because they were like the first couple of like bigger pops that they've made.
Yeah.
So I like those. Those are my favorites. I also have a I think it's a resin looking Cthulhu, and
Mm-hmm.
there's an Amazon Deadpool one that I thought was cool, but I also like. And another one of my favorites is just the um, the Daredevil yellow pop. So I have that one. I think that's the one that I probably spent the most money on. I think I paid like $40 for it, but
Mm-hmm.
I I liked it. They're I don't know if those are all of the ones that I have at my parents' house, but those are the last ones left in my collection. There might be a Mega Man, I'm not sure, but and I think I also kept a Macho Man.
Mm-hmm.
But there's my favorite one is the 66 Batmobile one. So I'm really proud of it and I think it's
Nice.
really neat.
Cool.
I won't be buying any other pops. I haven't bought pops in years and I don't intend to.
Mm-hmm.
They do a thing where like it's comic book covers now. But
Yeah,
it's
they did a
kind of interesting but kind of gimmicky because if you take it out of the box then like I don't know what the point is after that
yeah.
because you want the packaging is the cover in the
Yeah.
background. So like if you get rid of that, then like what do you even have?
Yeah, it's kind of useless. They did
Yeah.
also a run of Eddie Pops that were based off of all of Iron Maiden's album covers, which was
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
cool. I
Yeah.
I probably would have considered one of those, but
Yeah.
I can't buy. I'm not allowed to buy anymore.
Yeah.
So that ship has sailed.
Yep.
But yeah, those are my favorites, and I also really like the Boba Fett ones a lot. Before Disney came in and like basically made him a whiny.
Yeah.
They made him a wiener. I'm sorry. I thought the book of Boba Fett was okay, but they made it half the Mandalorian, and like
Yeah.
it was just like what it's like. If you just tell me you didn't want to do a Boba Fett show at all. Like that's like I would have felt better if you just said, well, they wanted a Boba Fett show, but we really didn't want to do it. I would have
Mhm.
felt much better about myself, and it would have made way more sense as to why the show turned out the way that it did.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they just made him a wiener, and no one wants to see Boba Fett with the helmet off.
I mean,
It's just
I don't care about that so much as like just that I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't, Boba Fett in the extended universe was just so much more badass and like
yes, he was.
especially if you read like the Legacy of the Force books, like uh in the second book, and there's gonna be minor spoilers for anybody that's not read those, but like basically Boba Fett is looking for like his he's old and his clone biology is like breaking down, so he's looking for like a way to like solve this. So he's like hunting for like the doctor who used to work on Camino, like or whatever that designed some of the clones or whatever, designed the cloning machines to like fix him. And then Jason Solo, who is turning into Darth Caedus, interrogates his daughter to death.
Oh wow.
So it becomes like this now personal vendetta against Jason Solo. It's a good book. A lot of people didn't like Legacy of the Force, but I think it's actually pretty good. And Jason Solo actually has a reason for turning to the dark side. He's not just like a whiny bitch like friggin' what's his face?
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, yeah. Yeah, Jason actually he sees a vision of the future of the galaxy in a massive war that kills like everyone that he loves, and basically like gets tempted to the dark side to stop that from happening. So but yeah, it's a good book.
So does he misread the prophecy, and the prophecy only happens if he joins the dark side?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those self-fulfilling prophecies.
Okay.
Like he
Okay.
becomes like doomed to like create the future that he's seeing, basically, because he thinks he can prevent it. And he's also being tempted by Lumia, who's like this Sith lady who's like been in the shadows like since like the emperor was still alive and stuff. So she's like basically manipulating him and stuff like that. And you really see him go down this dark path because like he's high up in the galactic government and he becomes basically like this like leader of like the secret police that starts like arresting like dissidents and stuff like that. And it gets really political. It's actually really good. So
cool.
But I digress.
All right. Well, anyway, I think we've reached the end of this monumental roller coaster ride in the greatest moment in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the greatest moment in time, people. So you can only imagine what tomorrow is going to bring. It's all downhill from here, and this wasn't that great. So just imagine. There was all of these wondrous developments in science and technology, and we could have had a utopia, but this was the moment in time that was chosen to be the best one. I'm sorry that all of your hopes have been dashed, but such is life.
Yeah.
Now go on with the rest of your lives and have whatever is considered the next best moment in time, which we'll find out in, I don't know, 12 hours. And then the day after that will be the third best time and so forth. But then there'll be a new dawn when we do another episode, and then you can forget about how miserable your existence is. That was bleak. So is Funko Pop's financials.
Yeah.
Hey! All right, but this has been Why Does This Exist? Thank you all for tuning in and tuning out and just listening to our show and just having a blast. And, maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't, maybe you had fun. We just hope you had fun at the end of the day.
Yep.
As we've said before, these are not us and our true opinions and thoughts on things. This is just characters that we have created. These are extensions of ourselves, which, we try to be a little amplified for you lovely people out there in digital media device land. So we appreciate you for tuning in, and give us money, because that's what we need to survive. Okay, bye. This has been Why Does This Exist? I've been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
And remember, question everything.
Good night, everybody.